In this interview, we hear from Joey. He's 29 years old, living in New Jersey. He is a senior admissions counselor at Manhattanville College, and he is, in my opinion, the mayor of undergraduate admissions. You're going to learn so much from him. Let's get started. Hi, Joey. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to hear about your career as an admissions counselor.
Thank you. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity just to talk about what I do and the importance of being a missions counselor.
Awesome. Thank you. So, what can you tell me about how you found yourself in your current role?
Definitely. So it pretty much all started back in the day when I was doing my bachelor's at the College of Mount St. Vincent, where I really found the passion of education. I was that person that couldn't say no. I was an RA, I was an orientation leader, I was president of the dance team, student government, the whole works. And then I think I left Mount St. Vincent with that incomplete, like, what am I missing? So I thought it was just like, you know what, you study business, I think your career is education. So LIM, Manhattanville gave me really the platform to really figure out what I wanted to do in the education. And currently, right now, I'm in Manhattanville College. I'm a senior admissions counselor. And I have to say that right now is just the role for me. And I think probably after this interview, you're going to get a sense I love talking and I just love the passion for working with students. And I have to admit, that's the job itself as being an admissions counselor, but what I'm really passionate about. And I'm currently working on my master's because I feel like being in higher ed is something that one, I'm good at, two, I completely understand, and three, I love just connecting with the students and with anyone that has that same passion.
Awesome. So I know things probably right now are a little bit different, but traditionally, what are the main ways in which you connect with prospective students?
Oh, definitely. So just in general, I think any admissions counselor watching this or about to hear this, they're going to be like, yes, travel. Travel can be a positive or a negative thing. For me, it's a positive. So my territory, which is pretty much admissions counselors, we get assigned specific areas where we need to recruit for students for. I have New York City. So we're talking about the Bronx, Manhattan, we're talking about Brooklyn, Staten Island, which is one, never boring, and two, great food, and three, always entertaining, right? So I do New York City. I will just like a daily day basis is like you're pretty much doing private visits. I'm building connections not only with students, but mostly important, guidance counselors. Guidance counselors are definitely, I feel like, key of success here as being an admissions counselor. Not only we're just building relationships, but we're understanding the school profile, the student profile, and anything less with financial aid as well. It could be a private school versus a public school. I think those key relationships will help guide travel. So just in New York City, let alone in the Bronx, just day to day in the Bronx, always which is so much fun because every day is something different. And New York City, I kid you not, maybe there's like a million schools. I don't know, maybe even more. But I do my best to just keep traveling. I'm looking at like 4 private visits a day, which I'm pretty much meeting with students, counselors. But then there's also the college fair component where I'm in a hot gym sometimes. I'm in a cafeteria. I'm in a, it'd be a really cool, interesting setting depending on the school, but definitely talking to families and talking to students. And I think that's one key component with the travel aspect on being an admission.
Awesome. And in those college fair settings, which hopefully will come back in a near time
Oh,
frame.
cross fingers. This is like
Yeah,
the new era, I'm
in-person
telling
events.
you. Oh yeah.
When those come back, what are your responsibilities and roles when you pull up, park, get out of your car? Walk us through that process.
Sure. We got to make sure we all have our materials, right? Because sometimes that's super important at a college fair. You need those materials. So just walking out that car, sometimes you just need to breathe because one, you're standing on your feet for at least 2 to 3 hours. So definitely you want to make sure you stretched and ready to go. And make sure you have your tea or coffee to keep it going. That's definitely the first key on walking out that car is make sure you have your coffee and tea. But literally, when you walk in, you already know what to expect. When you get to your table and you set up everything, and that's kind of like fun. I don't know. I like the organization behind it. Put the banner out because you're proud to represent the college you work for. Get all the materials out. Throw the banner out with Manhattanville. Get the logo. Get the stuffed animal on the table. I think you want your table always to look the best because let's be real and let's be honest here. I think some people when they look at colleges, your head goes towards a SUNY, a CUNY, something that you feel comfortable with, or your local community colleges, Or, like, hey, I'm not going to leave home. I'm going to stay close by. Manhattanville, we're like in the middle. So, like the Hudson Valley area, Westchester. I mean, some kids think Westchester's upstate. So it's already educating them. I'm like, hey, no, we are not upstate, but we're in the Hudson Valley. So it's not
Feel that as a New Yorker. I feel that.
Right? Same. But I think just when you're getting ready behind the table, you're going to be talking a lot. But I think it's great because you're educating not only students, but families, brother and sisters. You're meeting juniors and sophomores. You can't leave them out as well because they're going to be going through the college process very much soon,
Mhm.
And I think that's also important too, the family connection. Because at the end of the day, mom and dad, they gotta do FAFSA, financial aid, and their support system is what really matters. And you see that. And I think at college fairs, us admissions counselors, we're good readers. And I think you become strong in a strong judgment. And you see the support system that the student gets. And like when I don't see someone getting supported, I'm hoping that student comes to my table because one, I love that my institute gives out merit-based scholarships. I love that we have a community service scholarship. Just if you do 30 hours a semester, we'll give you $2,000. It's like the smallest things like that, we know we can help our students. So, hey, I think anyone can go to college no matter what if you put your mind to it. So I am that type of counselor that wants to talk to everyone regardless. You can call yourself the average Joe. You can call yourself the smartest kid in the class. You can call yourself the class clown. It doesn't matter. I'll work with those students on seeing where we can succeed in college.
That's great. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming that it isn't all that fun, outgoing side of things. I'm sure there's some paperwork you have to do. So what does the admin side of the role look like?
The admin side is very, very demanding, but I also want to be honest and say manual based. We work great with the Common App itself, where college counselors and students are applying from any college on the Common App. So we got to give it to just making life easier. We use a CRM, which is very much time consuming because not only everyone is reading applications, getting more applications, getting inquiries and e-communications and texting campaigns, it's all through the CRM. So on top of that, when the documents come in from students, we're looking for an application. We need the high school transcript. We need 2 recommendation letters, one from their counselor or one from an academic teacher, and on top of that, not only the college essay is super important, but we look at what else they were involved in. So we don't mind a resume or like any job references that you in the past that can give us. I think that's super important because a lot of colleges have been on this trend. Lucky enough, Manhattanville has been on this trend for a while, being test optional. So we don't even need SAT or ACT scores, which I think is great because it shows who you are. I think not as a person, but also as a student. So we're not judging you. Oh, you didn't get the 24 perfect score on the SATs. I think what that shows a student is we're not number based. We're human based. I like to call it human based. I like to make up my own words. Human based here and the admissions word because we're basing you off on what you have done as a student, but also what you've done as a human. That's why we're big on advocacy, social justice, and community service and campus ministry and stuff like that, let alone. So we just love to see what you're involved in. But yeah, and that CRM, it could take like 24 hours, like 48 hours to get applications done. We're working with counselors and communication and emails, but everything is going to the CRM and time management, application management falls into play.
Awesome. Turning a little bit to more, I guess, career logistics. Are there any benefits as, like an employee that you get working for a college or a university that maybe the traditional workforce, or not the traditional workforce, but other careers don't get at?
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a really good question. And I'm the one person I think as an employee will take advantage of benefits. I think the biggest popular one is probably the tuition readmission. I think the great side of working in higher ed is if the institute is available to pay for your master's degree. So I have the luxury of attending Manhattanville's master's program, and yes, it's free. And I think that is one of the strongest benefits. I always want to encourage people like higher ed has a lot of positivity, but a lot of negativity. And I think this benefit can show the positivity side of working in higher ed. So I love free. Take advantage, right? So, I love taking advantage of things like that. And, We do certificate programs as well. You know, you can take part involvement in the community service and stuff like that. And we have a really good contribute program to our retirement fund. I think that's important too. And the college definitely believes that that's a very main priority, especially with the benefits, especially when you make a year. They're like, okay, automatically you're going to put into your retirement fund if you like it or not. And I think that's good because it preps everyone for a true reality that we're going to be facing when you get older. And the medical benefits, of course, are super important too, and they're really affordable. And I think that's the key component, affordability. And we have to make sure things are affordable. So that's why getting the free masters is a plus. It compromises everything else because you can imagine like my undergrad, yeah, I had scholarships and everything too, but that was expensive. And then looking at a master's program, I'm like, whew, you know, I feel for everyone that goes into, you know, getting loans and stuff like that for it. And then, you know, I'm very proud to be an admissions counselor to have that benefit because I think they believe enhancing you. And that's what's really good. And there's a great ladder structure that we have at Manhattanville. So I'm really, truly blessed that the master's degree I'm going for is free. I would say number one benefit.
That's fantastic. And do you have any recommendations for someone who maybe like yourself wants to work at a university that they didn't necessarily attend, how to get their foot in the door?
Yeah, no, that's a really wonderful question you just asked because admissions is the type of career where people like either fall into or they're not even too sure about. And it's great because you don't need to go to the institute. You know, you do your research, of course. I mean, I went to Mount St. Vincent. I didn't go to Manhattanville, but trust me, I talk like if I go to Manhattanville in a sense. But I think what's good about it is, you know, they look for experience of just you attending college as well as a big plus in their book because you have the experience, right? And you know, you don't really, I didn't have the education background to be an admissions counselor. I was in a purchasing department. I was going in the business side, going into performing arts, you know, dance teacher. I was an adjunct professor for first year experience. So really nothing with recruitment and enrollment. So Manhattanville took that risk and took the opportunity to be like, you know what? He has the personality, he has the driven, he has the passion. I think that's important looking into because when you work at a university, especially that you don't know, that you've never attended, hey, I really think you sometimes just need to put you forward. I think the one key component and the advice I give to new admissions counselors is just be you. At the end of the day, you know, this is a different type of generation versus student, right? And you have to not only cater to these students, but they want to see who you are, you know? And I think that's why social media is such a big hit into everyone because social media shows who you are in a raw type of setting, right? If you are who you are in the admission setting, that's going to help you, one, grow numbers, two, build the connections with counselors, three, connect with students, four, have some type of sane relaxation when it comes to the stress that you have to deal with when it comes to application reading, application management and stuff. But to be honest, if you stay true to who you are, you'll go really far in higher ed. I've been in higher ed now for about 7 years, and I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. My ultimate goal is to be a principal, and I'm not dropping that goal. You know, and my second goal was you're going to open up a dance studio and stuff like that. Those are two goals I'm not going to lose sight of. But higher ed, I'm going to be honest with you, is giving me that platform, giving me the knowledge, and giving me the steps I need to do. I recommend anyone that, especially if you're fresh out of college, or even if you're an alum at your college, or you work in the admissions office, apply. This is a great job and a great salary starting off with. And I think if you're especially young and like you just love to travel, why not? You know, I have staff that get to travel to California, Puerto Rico, Texas, you know, and I think those are great food, but also great places to travel and meet people. Yeah, you're working, but you're also traveling, get to hop on a plane. I get to go to Vegas. So I'm in Vegas every October and it's around my birthday and I love it. I'm in Vegas for like a week and a half. I get to celebrate my birthday, but I also get to meet students in a different time zone, different coast, and different perspective on life. They're like, New York City? No. What? I'm like, you have Vegas right there. That's me. So it's like, it's so much fun where you get to test yourself, but you get to test these students. And I think admissions counselors, you know, will always say, yeah, it's travel. they're gone for 3 months. And, the negative part and the hardest part on this profession, which again, this is advice giving to anyone who wants to be an admissions counselor, is the hardest part is the travel season where sometimes you have to leave your loved one for at least 2, 3 weeks. You're not in your apartment, you're not in your house for maybe 2 weeks at a time. Maybe you're hotel hopping, but you're getting those points. So when you time to take off in the summer, use those points, So there's positives and negatives, but I think that's the best advice I can really give to someone who wants to enter this career and take a risk of an industry that you've never worked for or heard of.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. I was going to ask you what your personal career progression goals were like. You've covered that already. Are there other maybe more linear approaches to career progression in an admissions counselor role? Maybe someone who doesn't want to hop to be like a principal or something like that?
Yeah, no, for sure. So like, of course, the master's is definitely going to help. And then once I get that end goal, of course, hopping to another possible job, which would be in more of the high school, elementary school, middle school side. But to be in the profession itself, we have an organization which is extremely well, the NAZAC, which is a national association for college admissions counselors, where one, we have resources on just admissions counseling in general, resources to travel, they do conferences. It's really great to be part of. And I think that's a strong membership and a strong support system we have outside the community. Mm-hmm. And that's also career growth driven. Like I like to say, I'm involved in Camp College, which I get to go in the summer, be a mentor. I meet juniors and seniors who are about to start the college process. I get to travel to another college and just be a mentor for these students. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the organization. And then I'm also helping this year, we're doing conference planning. We're hoping our goal is to plan a nice, huge conference for everyone in New York. And we're planning that right now. And I think that right there is exposing me to many more resources, but also connecting, professional development, networking, and stuff like that, and in the admissions world, which is good, is you can, like they call it the admissions hub. You can always, once you score the admissions job, you give your institute and you start falling in love and you get it like this. Trust me, you see admissions counselors going to the next institute or going to another college and stuff like that. So that's okay. I mean, it's welcome in our profession because you're showing growth, you're showing more knowledge, the admission knowledge. Mm-hmm. And I think that's super important as well. And in our growth that you want to have in your profession, sometimes you need to do it and it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's more than welcome and stuff like that. Many opportunities come with, for example, when you graduate college and you're an alum, there's one opportunity because you know the school. Mm-hmm. Once you make a couple years in the college, you can go from D3 to maybe D2. Or if you want to go straight to D1, there's different ranking systems that we have in the college from athletics and our academics. The more knowledge you know as an admissions counselor, the mm-hmm. more you can definitely grow and seek other opportunities there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. And is it common to switch between being, let's say, a domestic admissions counselor and an international one, or do you recommend trying to be an international counselor right off the bat? Are there any extra, skills or requirements that role?
Yeah, no, good question, because that's popular too with a lot of admissions counselors. There is the international portion as well on being an international admissions counselor. So yeah, that you see that as a popular trend where employees are switching over to that. That switch, to be honest with you, is the most difficult switch you could probably do in admissions. Mm-hmm. So the process of that is one, travel aspect, right? The fun side you get to see is like, oh, you get to travel to India, France, Rome, Australia, London, so many amazing places. Mm-hmm. And yes, you have the time for yourself to always make sure you have time for you, explore, but then you're doing your visits, your college fairs, your networking and stuff like that, which I think is great, right? Imagine you're doing that in London, but I think that's great. But that travel season is like every admissions counselor, you're traveling 3 to 4 months. Usually travel will start after Labor Day, September, and we'll be done around that December 15th, early action when you're done traveling, right? And then reading season happens when, mid-travel after Thanksgiving, you're reading, you're wrapping up your travel. Imagine the international admissions counselors. They're doing the same thing, but you're in a different country. So imagine you have to leave your loved one for over 3 months. Our international director of admissions for Manhattanville, Lena, phenomenal. She's one mentor that I have under and I look up to because she is a nonstop person that is passionate about these students and passionate about the international culture. And she goes big and beyond. Right now, like online, she has a college fair that's at 2 a.m. So she don't even sleep. So if you want to be an international admissions counselor, you don't sleep because you're in different time zones, different countries and
Right.
stuff. But if you're young and you don't mind and you don't mind sacrificing a little bit of things and you have that travel bug, do it. Because
Mhm.
what other opportunity you can get to say that you could travel to 14 different countries in 3 months,
Wow.
But it's really hard. Not only application reading and stuff, but you're working with students that need visas, working visas. They need to come, to the United States. You're dealing with that transition as well with J1 visas, and you're dealing with their assemblies, and you're dealing with their questions, and their financial aid is completely different. Some of these students have to pay full tuition and full price. So they
Mhm.
go into them like knowing how much they have to pay. It's a very different type of speech, very different type of setup you have to have when it comes to international.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's really great insight. I'm sure people would just assume the glamorous travel side.
Oh, the glamorous, like you're on the plane and you're just going to a different country. No, it's a lot of work. Yeah,
Yeah.
internationally. Yeah. And I think I've only said 50% of the workload, to be honest. So,
Absolutely. I think wrapping up or getting close to wrapping up, do you have any additional advice for someone who is interested in getting into higher education? They're
mhm,
in college right now. They're like,
yeah.
"Oh, I'm not studying this degree, but maybe I should try an internship in X."
Yeah, no, for sure. I think any major that you study in college can gear you towards being an admissions counselor. I had this strong performing arts background, was like, oh my God, like, are they gonna like that I have a performing arts background? Are they gonna think I'm able to talk about nursing or biology or physics when I rather talk to someone that wants to dance on stage? No. And I'm happy they didn't look at that because they didn't judge. I think higher ed doesn't judge anyone. You get to be who you are as a person and you get to grow and learn more about yourself in a higher ed setting. You get to be personable, you get to have your personality, you get to ex, you get to explore higher ed the way you want to. And I think that's important. Some
Mhm.
jobs that you're 9 to 5, you have to do this, and then you have end goals. No, here in higher ed, you have set timelines, you have goals, but you get to do it the way you want to do it because you're the one putting yourself out there. You get to represent the college, the face. You're like the face of the college, plus the student workers and plus the students who already go there. So I think that's important to take in consideration for if you want to go into this, you have that high pedestal type of feeling because one thing that people do need to realize admissions counselors, we keep that college flowing, we keep that year base flowing, budgets, raises, all of those. They're looking at admissions like, hey, did you hit your class because I want that raise? So sometimes you feel that pressure, but that pressure is okay because you have a support system, you have a support staff. I think anyone who's studying anything in college and you just want to take a risk and go into higher ed, I think admissions is a great first step. Admissions opens many doors because you wear different hats. You got to deal with financial aid. You have to deal with academic advising. You have to deal with student life. You deal with career service. You deal with so many different little components that you just never know. You might end up, oh, I'm a financial aid counselor. No, I'm now the assistant director of student life. Nope, I'm in student planning. Admissions opens up so many doors.
Yeah.
So that's why I say if you majored in psychology in college, that's perfect. You majored in criminal justice, that's perfect. With this admissions might not be the end goal, like that's not my end goal, but at the same time, take that risk. You know, if you're in college right now, why don't you apply for admissions? Apply for admissions, be that admissions assistant, work that open house, get a little feel of being a little mini admissions counselor. Because at the end of the day, you either will give a tour, you'll probably be that student testimony, like, oh yeah, I'm a junior and I do this and this. Hey, brag it out, brag who you are. I think that's what admissions does, and that's what we look for as a student. I think here, anybody watches this interview, like, all right, Joey likes to talk. Yes, I do like to talk, but hey, if you're that person that likes to talk and who's passionate, this is a perfect career for you because you get to be who you are. You get to have that element of the excitement and fun. And trust me, the rewards are there. when you've been talking to a student for over a year and he deposits in Manhattanville and he's screaming down, Joey, how's it going? I'm like, whoa, look at you. You're a freshman now? He's like, no, I'm a sophomore. I'm like, what? It's like excitement is there. Even, any student that you meet at the end of the day, they can even transfer to here. You never want to lose sight of that. And I think that's the best advice I can give. Work, take advantage of that, the working on campus, that aspect too. So if you're still in college, take advantage of that work study. Take advantage of that going to the career service and finding out those job opportunities, because I worked in at Mount St. Vincent myself when I was in college, and hey, I was sold. And I think that's also good. So not only are you going to make money, but you never know. And I think that's always the biggest thing in today's society is like, you would never know. I mean, look where we are right now. I wish we were in person doing this interview and everything, but of course, this new norm, new reality, new world, we have to face tough times, and every job is not easy. And I think if you're willing to take that risk and work at the college or just take the opportunity to apply to be an admissions counselor, trust me, that experience you have sitting in the classroom is well enough to be an admissions counselor.
I don't think I could have wrapped this interview up in a nicer bow than that. I don't think I needed to be here at all, which I love.
No, you needed to be here, no, because you got to tell me.
I think that you shouldn't become a principal and that you should become a mayor. I'll vote for you. I'll move to wherever you are. I'll vote for you. I think it's a perfect fit.
No, I'm so passionate about this. And that's why I'm really grateful for you reaching out to me and doing this interview, because I hope any student that sees this is also needing help in the college process. Work with your admissions counselors, email us, communicate with us, come to an open house, come to an info session, come to a tour, get on campus. I understand times is rough and I hope things get better, which it will get better. But hey, you're that sophomore, junior, or senior, go to the college and get on that campus.
Awesome. Joey, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure people will get immense value out of this.
I appreciate it.
I look forward to chatting soon.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.